Welcome to Hull & Estates and Succession Planning, a series of podcasts hosted by Ian Hull and Suzana Popovic-Montag. The podcast you are listening to will provide information and insights into estate planning in Canada. From the offices of Hull & Hull in Toronto, here are Ian and Suzana.
Hi, and welcome to Hull & Estate and Succession Planning. You're listening to episode 163 of our podcast on Tuesday, May 4th, 2009.
Hi, Susanna.
Hi, Ian.
Well, today we thought we would reminisce a little and talk about a project that is something in the technology scheme. We've been talking about lots of legal issues, and the last week we touched on some technology issues, and so we thought we would finish the thought, so to speak. And what we thought we'd talk a little bit about today is an experiment at first and now part of our firm to maybe illustrate the use of technology and what it can be, where it can help and where it can hurt, presumably. We have talked a little bit about, no doubt in a future podcast, we'll touch on Twitter and its growth. We've been on Twitter for quite a while, and it's not new to us, but it's now hitting the mainstream, so it's sort of fun to watch. But what we did probably 5 years ago was start a unknown concept called knowledge management. And why we wanted to talk about today was because I think it really helps illustrate a little bit about where, if you're going to practice in this area, where you're going to have to, where we found it was effective to focus. And we've grown from a small operation in our firm of knowledge management now to a designated lawyer and a systemized procedure for knowledge management. But let's start first of all, just if you could, explain to us what you're talking about knowledge management.
Well, Ian, as lawyers, our job is really to communicate knowledge and information to our clients to assist them with their particular issues. And when you specialize in an area of law, but like as estates and trusts, for instance, you need to really know your area of law, and you need to know it better than anyone else. And because there is so much information out there, and because the law does tend to change, maybe not radically, but certainly there are cases that update other cases, and you want to stay on the leading edge of every bit of information you can, you try to, and we've tried to, sort of coordinate our information so that it's in one place. That information being the legal information, that being precedents, that being case law, that being anything that we rely on in our daily practices, and make it available to all of us internally. And that's what we really mean by knowledge management, managing our knowledge within our firm.
And it really is more than just precedent management. That as lawyers and as any professional, you do something once and you think, well, you know what, I might be able to tweak that the next time and use a lot of that product again. That's not what this is about. This isn't about just saving the latest statement of claim you drew in a pile in the corner. This is about organizing office information and inside and outside information. Mm-hmm. And we broke it down into many categories, and I think part of it is worth talking about is that it's a testament to the organization skills of our manager of knowledge management, Sharon Davis. But one of the things that I'm struck by is that there are sort of two components to knowledge management. There's the legal substantive component, which we will talk about, but there's also the non-legal. How many times in a day are we asked for, do you know someone who can do X or Y, who are in the affiliated professional sphere of our day? And we have branched our knowledge management into that as well. And maybe you could give us an illustration of the kinds of sources that we might have in knowledge management to help move that issue along in the day.
Well, Ian, many times we'll have different issues arise in our practice, like the need, for instance, for a capacity assessor, the need, for instance, of a real estate lawyer who might be able to deal with a particular aspect on an estate matter. We might need contact information for a private investigator, an airship searcher, or something like that. And what we've done with our knowledge management system is create a database of individuals, a list of these people, these go-tos, for everyone to sort of find in one place the quickest answer, so that when someone does say, do you know of, we can just go to one place within our system internally and find an answer for that individual.
And I think and we mentioned a couple of podcasts ago, it also is tested individuals. You're trusted with, you know, I mean, how many times if you don't see an issue for, say, 2 years, you think, geez, I had a person who did a great job on a triple butterfly succession planning move in Nelson, British Columbia. I just can't remember the name of that person.
That's right.
You've got it in your system. You click it, and you find it. And I mean, it's like it's more than a glorified phone book. It's a glorified service. It is a service to our clients that is available, and to our referring sources that is available. It's fast. It's available to us fast, so that helps us. We don't have to spend a lot of time doing it. But most importantly, it's a reliable source, and it's a tested source. And there's this old saying that garbage in, garbage out in any data organizing, and that's the same with knowledge management. If you put garbage in, you put sources in there that aren't trusted, verifiable sources, then when you go in and do it quickly and you don't think, and you say, there's the name from Nelson, British Columbia, you're putting at risk your whole sort of reputation as to a referring source. So that's the one wing of knowledge management that I think that has a global sort of usefulness to it. And the tools that we use with it, the software and stuff, I mean, that's just, spend some time on the internet, you'll see 2 or 3 different products. The product we use, of course, is now out of, pretty well out of service, but that's what happens when you use software. You have to manipulate and adapt, and we're looking at upgrading it and working that around. But I wanted to start there because I thought that was really global use of knowledge management. But now let's just spend a couple of minutes talking about the specific use of knowledge management we do in our estates practice. And I think the easy illustration is drafting solicitors have available to them precedent books that are updated regularly. And so if you're going to online, not just books, but online service, excuse me. So if you have that available, that's one thing. But if someone says, geez, I want to do an RSP clause, and there's resources available to us as lawyers to look at how it was done before and done in the future. But if you want to have an article on the recent trend of RSP clauses and think about, well, what about adding a different revocation language or something like that, we link that as well. So we have an ability to link to our draft of the most recent draft of that clause. We subcategorize that clause to say, you know, to second wife, to first wife, and that forth. And then the final thing is that we'll link to a recent article so that we can refresh and be more enhanced with our analysis, so that we don't just taking a precedent, popping it in and not thinking. We're taking a precedent, popping it in, looking at a source document to remind us of the issues we should be tuned into once we've taken the document out. So that's and when they're all together, and in our system we simply have it linked, so it's not a reinventing of the wheel. So from a substantive drafting standpoint, it can mean much more enhanced materials. We obviously don't, I mean, no precedent is worth anything, really. It's just saving you some keystrokes.
That's right.
The precedent has to be adapted to your circumstances.
But it is definitely a good starting point.
Absolutely.
And particularly, we've found internally very helpful as we bring in younger, newer lawyers into the system who are trying to learn the whole area of law. It really does help to synthesize the knowledge all in one place. And I think back to the days when we went in law school and we were still looking up in the hard copies of books and things like that. And with the wonders of technology, it's just taken the burden of that research, of that learning, of that locating, and made it so much more accessible and easier and faster.
Absolutely. All right, well, I think that wraps up our talk on technology and knowledge management, and next week we have a really neat topic on substantive law issues that we want to delve into. So I hope everybody's enjoyed our little soiree outside of the core estate issues, but we're going to come back with some more substantive stuff. So thank you very much, Suzana, and appreciate everybody joining us today.
Bye now.
You have been listening to Hull and Estates and Succession Planning by Ian Hull and Suzana Popovic-Montag. The podcast you've been listening to has been provided as an information service. It is a summary of current issues in estates and estate planning. It is not legal advice, and you're reminded to always speak with a legal professional regarding your specific circumstance. To listen to other Hull & Hull podcasts or leave any questions or comments, please visit our website at hullestatemediation.com.